Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you all kindly for joining me again, especially those of you that are new. I really appreciate your support and all your comments. Today is August 16th. It is Friday, 2024. I've got quite a few things I would like to go over with you today, so it might go on a bit long just to warn you. I normally try to keep these short. So I've got this on. Any of you that know what this is from, we'll talk about this a little bit later, as well as Bitcoin and the bear. So starting as we normally do with the MMRI, it's our favored risk indicator. So this has come up. It's just below 250 at 249.4. We had some things happen in the bond market last night, just after market close, as is typical of these moves. So with this, we'll just go over the fear greed index first, out of the extreme fear area. And this is showing that basically more retailers piling into the market. So this is increasing volume a bit on the retail side. And I like to watch this because this will also increase the volatility. So stocks up in the green at the moment could change. I'm doing this quite early. We've got the volatility indexes beginning to rise, as well as gold. So back towards that 2,500 number. We've got, as I was saying, the 10-year yield 3.904 at the moment. And I'll show you a bit more detail on that one. Relative strength of the dollar pulled back. So these both gave room for capital basically to flow back into the stock market. Now, prior to the stock market, we've got basically the Asian market was quite strong. And right now, we've got the European market that looks like it's doing quite well at the moment as well. I'd like to bring up cryptocurrency, Bitcoin back above the 58,000 level. And I'll talk about why. So I had quite a few people asking yesterday why Bitcoin dumped and why the price went down and all of this other stuff. The United States listed some of the Bitcoin. I don't know if they actually sold, but that action alone was enough to create some fear, which to me is a little sad, but maybe these people shouldn't be holding it anyway. So with this yesterday, we have the stocks rally with strong retail sales reports. So this was Walmart and a couple of the others. So basically, market is thinking, oh, we've got our soft landing. That was the worst of it. And right around the corner, we've got the Fed that's about to cut. So these bulls are still running, but they're beginning to get a little tired towards this resistance. And in my opinion, the market has overpriced cuts into the market as far as the near term. So still expecting maybe a quarter point in September, but we'll see. I would like to note that any of the moves today, if you're watching on these, you're trading, volume matters. So watch the volume because we've got retail and then we've also got some big players in here. So I don't want you to get caught on the wrong side right before it is Friday, right before your weekend. I want you to have a good weekend. Okay, so I want to dive a little deeper. This is chart of the 10-year yield, US 10-year yield. This is what happened yesterday, kind of moving merrily along until market close, and boom, this happened. So it is beginning to come back down and recover back to reasonability, basically. It normally does. So what happened? When you look at the debt relative, this is a chart of all of the rates for the debt for some of these countries, as you see, and all of them, relatively speaking, down, except for Japan. So this kind of tells us a bit of the answer there. A lot of people were saying the yen carry trade was done. It's not yet, but they're doing small chunks so they don't create a larger issue than they did last Monday. So I expect at the timing as well, this will recover pretty well today. So, but a lot of volatility still. Calendar today, we've got consumer sentiment, which in real life is not very good, but it depends on who they ask for this survey. Okay, we've got housing starts coming out prior to market open, as well as building permits. So that will affect real estate, and I'll talk about that in a moment. We've got Fed President Goolsbee will be speaking 1:25 in the afternoon, and that's always, they work as a safety mechanism. If there's anything going extreme off in the markets, they can come in and calm them down, because it's a good portion of trading and good portion of the markets, it's all psychological. My estimation is between 80-90% is not actual pricing or markets, but psychological. Okay, why is this angry egg here? That's kind of what I feel like in the morning sometimes. Okay, he's being blamed. So they're saying eggs are the villain in July inflation data, that it was because of grocery prices, and that everything else is just fine. So the narrative is that this economy is fine. This one, talking about the layoffs, the increase in numbers, well, that surge, that could have been a mirage. You didn't actually see that. They're saying this was completely fake. So, as I said before, line up to get your full plate of propaganda, because if you don't, they're going to shove this down your throat. Saying that everything is fine, I disagree. Okay, so let's go. S&P 500 erased the earlier losses as irrational recession fears. Again, irrational. So if you think there is anything wrong with the economy or that we may possibly have a recession, you are irrational, according to them. So NASDAQ 100, the best 6-day rally since 2022, and tech stocks on the move. Well, cryptocurrencies dropped, but we did have the chips had a bit of a go on this one. I want to speak a little bit about Blackrock, the Bitcoin ETF. Okay, with that significant drop in Bitcoin yesterday and cryptocurrencies, we had major institutions buying it up or holding it because we've got financial filings indicating that major firms had made substantial bets on BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. And then I've got Goldman Sachs up here because I've got a little more details on theirs. Not only did they purchase BlackRock's, but also Fidelity's. They have Bitcoin ETF as well as Grayscale and Invesco. So altogether, over $400 million in these for Goldman Sachs. They put that forth on that. So that little blip you had yesterday, they're trying to shake people out of it so they can purchase more. Okay, of note, the real economy and why I say some of these things. So, for instance, and it's not an American company exactly, but Brazil's Gol Airlines now filing for Chapter 11 in New York. They leased their craft over 4.11 billion in debt, and they can no longer make their payments. So a lot of airlines now talking about demand dropping and cutting back on the routes, basically to make back on this. Okay, now over to housing. We've got 1/3 of home builders slashing prices because confidence in the market has fallen to an 8-month low. They remember 2008. And they also understand it takes time while building to get it completed and sold. So they are rushing to get rid of their inventory prior to what they believe is going to happen. So sounds like builders are irrational also. Okay, so with this, we are looking at the mortgage applications that they dropped. And we spoke about this yesterday. The rates dropped, so that enticed a lot of people to refinance. But they didn't just refinance for a lower rate. They took out higher amounts against the homes so they can pay off some of this debt, some of the credit card things that they have been using to survive on. So with this, we've got the current VP is proposing $25,000 of assistance for any first-time homeowner. Now, this is only going forward. It is a political move because any first-time homebuyer who purchased last month is not going to get this help. I think this just might backfire. However, we've also got the opposite side denouncing the plan, saying it's Venezuela-style communism. And I agree, because all of this gets added to the debt that taxpayers must pay. So how do you feel about that? Let me know. We've also got that Stock Act has advanced, and basically it's just that Congress is not supposed to be trading stocks, particularly on things that they're going to be voting on, but they do it anyway, and that's how they all become millionaires. or more. So I'd like to kind of step across to the other way. This is pulling out a little bit, a little more macro. We've got AUKUS countries updating rules on sharing defense kit. So these new rules will make it easier for the US, UK, and Australia to share vast amounts of defense equipment. Okay? This is coming from the same people who don't blink an eye at spending billions of dollars and sending these weapons packages over to other countries. So when they use this term vast, I pay attention. So basically, a way to help out these two allies, a bit of quantitative easing, if you will. We're going a little bit farther in with this. Now, we've been watching Germany with the manufacturing issues. Why is all of this happening? And a large part of this is because when we do the war spending, or you creating the basically weapons packages, that goes on to the US GDP and grows the US GDP. When they were doing the rate cuts for the euro, it put things in a bit of a skew. So this is the backdoor way, so to speak, for the Fed to basically be doing quantitative easing over to our European partners, in particular the ones that are really hurting. So Germany, their manufacturing is down terribly. So we've got Rheinmetall acquiring a manufacturing company, LOC, for $950 million. Now, this is going to be an American subsidiary. They produce the largest, they've got the largest US Army vehicle production business. And basically, they're still going to be headquartered in Michigan. They are going to basically be given clearance to operate stateside as a US based company and then kind of pump the funds back through Germany. So, as I was saying, this company will remain in the United States, be producing the same thing, but we've got this German company paying $950 million for it. So, my question to you is how much do you think the first government contract will be awarded to them for? Will it surpass that? Very likely in doubles or triples or any exponential. So this is all kind of like a different ploy. When you see one of these stories, you can kind of look out and look on the back side of it. So don't believe me, you can look this up for yourself. And lastly, for this one, we've got this guy with the fairy magic dust. And he is basically giving a blessing to nuclear weapon. And it's his name is Konstantin Tatarentsev. He's an archpriest for the Russian Orthodox Church. So even though this is a weapon, he's saying basically that it is possible because even though they have tremendous destructive power, they can bring peace. And if they're blessed, then they will bring peace or at least less destruction. So the question is, why are they blessing all their weapons now? Okay, tin time with lava. I thought I would have a little bit of fun with this, but we've got a couple of things that are interesting. So again, the mpox, it's coming out more. You're going to hear about it. There's no way you can avoid it. The interesting part is right here, similar to smallpox caused by virus, and that is because it is related. So don't worry, because you've got vaccine, pumping it out, in my opinion, will come out very rapidly. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that, and hope this video makes it out. So we've got lawmakers asking Pentagon leaders to commit to keeping the military out of politics and the election. Very sad, in my opinion, that they have to ask this, but it is supposed to be known. They are not supposed to be politically motivated. The military is not owed to any one side. Their allegiance is to the Constitution of the United States and not any one party for very clear reasons. So on the back of this, we've got a couple of lawmakers, Slotkin of Michigan and Sherrill of New Jersey. They wrote a letter to the Pentagon, in particular to Austin here, for clarity on domestic military deployments. So basically, They're asking them to give public assurance that the limits on the domestic use of military forces are still in effect and that federal laws will prohibit any president or commander-in-chief, as that office is, from ordering troops to circumvent the rules for political purposes. Now, they can come in and bolster the border, other things like that, but they cannot be politically moved. And they are further asking for him to declare publicly that if a president were to issue such an order, that they would refuse to carry it out. So, a little bit dark here, but it's at that point in time. And with that, that is why this was on the front. That story, Big Brother is watching you, is from the book 1984. It's George Orwell. And I thought this was pretty funny. Someone had written in that instead of Bibles at the hotel, they did have copies of this book. So if more of that would get out, we're kind of beginning to live that out. And as I say, time is short. Become prepared so we can be ready for what is going. It is Friday. Typically, if things happen, it's after market closes on Friday. So just be aware. And I wish you all a wonderful trading day, green if you do, and a wonderful weekend. So until I see you again, my friends, stay free.